Hello again. Time for another video. This time I will take a quick look I should say, in a box. Because those of you who watched my last video, I built a P-47N in 1/48 scale, and I mentioned, I think at the time, that it wasn't really a decent kit in 1/72, but then I had a discussion with a very good friend of mine, a very good internet friend, and he mentioned the sword kit of the P-47N in 1/72 scale, and I looked it up online and decided to buy one on eBay. I actually got it quite cheaply, and it's two kits in one, so it's a very good box. Two kits in one, two P-47Ns, and as you can see, you get the option of 4 different aircraft, one of which is the one I built in 48 scale. And then there's 2 from the same squadron, and a one in blue markings, blue decorations. And when I build this, I will do the blue one, and I will also do a post-war F-47 in Puerto Rican National Guard markings. I got a set of aftermarket decals I bought ages ago. So yeah. The box, as you can see, is end opening, which personally I don't like, but there you go. I prefer the ones that you open the lid. And all the parts come in one bag, and in this bag there are a couple of small bags. You get 2 lots, bear with me. You get 2 lots of etched brass to go with it, with its instrument panels and seat belts, harnesses, and a set of ignition cables for the engine. You get 2 lots of those. The clear parts come in the 1 little bags. That's the gun sight, the windshield. Shh. Thank you. The gun sight, the windshield, and the Rob canopy. Then we'll come back to this bag. It's a bag of goodies. In 2 kits, you obviously end up with 2 sprues of everything. The fuselage bits and the lower wing parts, propellers, cowling, part of the cockpit, 2 bits of those, and you end up with the top half of the wings and 2 lots of drop tanks, the small drop tanks that we use all over the place, and the slightly larger ones that we use mainly in the Pacific on the P-47s. The decal sheet obviously gives you enough decals for 2 versions. Would make sense, it does make sense, doesn't it? 2 kits, 2 sets of decals, but yeah, it's 2 sets of decals on one sheet. They are printed by Techmod, whatever you pronounce it, and on the sheet they look good, so hopefully they will be. I'm not sure. I know some people have had trouble with the Techmod decals, but let's hope for the best, eh? So the instructions are about 12 pages or so. Straightforward instructions in black and white, easy to follow, and at the end you have the painting and decal instructions. So what's in this little bag then, I hear you ask? No, I don't actually, if I can hear that badly. Shh! Well, in this bag you get loads of resin. The resin alone is probably worth the money I paid for the whole kit. Engine parts times 2. Wheel wells for the landing gear times 2. Cockpit sides, one part is missing, it was loose in the bag, but luckily I still have it. That's times 2. Gun barrels times 2. And guess what? Seats times 2. So yeah, this kit looks quite good. I will lay it out and point out anything that I find interesting about this kit. So bear with me while I set that up, and I'll be back in a bit. Let's look at the resin bits first. You have the front bit there of the engine and the back part, and the same again, another set. The seats are really nice. They got molded in harnesses and armrests. I haven't seen armrests on any other P-47, but I assume it's for the benefit of the pilot, because they used the P-47N for very long distance flying. The wheel wells are very nicely detailed with nice flooring, hydraulics and parts where to put the landing gear. Again, you get 2 lots. Cockpit side panels are very nice as well. With all the cables, you might want to add some bits, but personally I don't think it's necessary. Gun barrels you probably will have to be very careful with, because they do look flimsy, and when you cut them off, make sure to do it very carefully. So yeah, the resin parts all very nice, molded in nice grey resin. I don't know who actually cast them, but whoever did it did a very nice job. Here's the etched bars. I'm only going to show one because they're both the same. We've got the instrument panels and the cover to go on top of them. We've got the harnesses, various little bits to go in the cockpit, and the ignition cables. It says made in Czech Republic, so I can only assume it's made by Edward, in which case it's very good stuff in my opinion. This is the main sprue of the plastic. You do get a plastic instrument panel, which you don't really need. Landing gear, parts of the cockpit, tires. You get 2 different inserts for the wheels, so you can make both P-47s slightly different. A nice paddle prop, Curtis Electric I think, and What I like is the front of the cowl is separate from the rest of the cowl, which means when you paint it, it should be a lot easier to paint it. Obviously I recommend dry fitting before painting, just to make sure that the bit goes on nicely. The cowl flaps are separate. Landing gear doors. The wings have nicely recessed panel lines and quite a bit of rivet detail, which personally I like. Unfortunately the flaps are molded with a piece, you can't have them opened, so which is a shame, but you can live with it. The interior of the fuselage, there's nothing, which is why obviously you have the cockpit detail in resin. The stabilizers again have got nice panel lines, nice rivet detail on them, and as you can see there's nothing for the wheel wells, which again is why we have the resin parts. The cockpit floor is of the correct latest style, flat floor, not the corrugated one of the earlier P-47s, so that's very good. Superchargers, a few bits which I honestly don't know what they are, but I'm sure I can find out as I build it. Yeah, the upper wings, again nice rivet detail, nice panel lines, and you get the drop tanks like I pointed out. These can go in the spares, but this will be used on the aircraft. The only thing I think is a little bit of a shame is you get no bombs, no rockets or anything like that to go with it. You get the pylons, very nice pylons, but like I said, no bombs, no missiles. Looking at the landing gear, there we are, looking at the landing gear, the P-47 had reinforced landing gears because of being so much heavier with the extra fuel and everything, and it looks like Sword has actually covered that quite well. The decals are nice and glossy, they look quite thin on the sheet. You've got two different versions of the same box art, one with text, one without. You've got various markings, a ton of stenciling. For those of you who like stencils, you will have a field day. Personally I'm not so keen, but it does make the aircraft look better, I guess. And like I said, it's well printed by TechMod. The canopy is very nice and clear, quite thin plastic, little bit of flash on the side, in the same place on both canopies, so it's obviously a molding fault. It's a little bit narrow, which is quite common for P-47s in 1/72 scale, so we'll see how good it looks on the model when it's finished. Hopefully it'll be alright to build it. I'm gonna try and build one with the canopy open and one with the canopy closed. The gun sight also looks very nice, very nicely molded. Yeah, not bad at all, apart from being slightly narrow, but at least it's nice and clear. The instructions are nicely printed. Bit of history about the P-47 in general, but mainly the N version. And it tells you the difference between the P-47N and the other P-47s, with the clipped wingtips and the extra fuel tanks inside the wings, which gave it a remarkable range of 2,350 miles. A total of 1,816 P-47Ns were built, and the last Thunderbolt ever to be built, a P-47N, rolled off the production line in October 1945. They never saw action in Europe, but Pacific. They were flying from spring 1945, mainly as escort fighters, but later used in the fighter bomber rolled with rockets and bombs. And after the war, they saw service in various National Guards up until the mid-1950s. And this is a sprue chart telling you what bits to use, which is more or less all of them. A color guide in Czech, I would imagine, Czech in English. Nice detail for the painting. The seats have molded on harnesses already, so the etched brass harness you can just put aside and use on another P-47 or any other American aircraft in 1/72. They certainly won't be wasted. The assembly of the cockpit parts, the assembly of the superchargers and various bits inside. Again with the landing gear, very detailed at the back there. The engine, various intakes, engine parts, show you the front, the rear bit and all together. And most of the cowling is on the aircraft, where you get the end bit, like I said, the nose wing separate. You also get a wing spar to go through to help support the wings for later on. And the cockpit assembly goes in here as well. Tail wheel assembly, cowling, painting of the wheel wells. Assembly of the wheel wells and guns. Like I said, the option of 2 different inserts for the wheels, and the landing gear, drop tanks, pylons. You get a holder for a center fuselage bomb, or the small fuel tank if you like. Personally, I don't know what I'm gonna do yet. I'll probably stick a bomb there for the military version and leave it empty for the National Guard version. The propeller comes in 2 parts. You actually get the hub, so the hub separately. Here's a stencil placement. Lots of stencil, like I said, for the propeller, all the fuselage. Also a rough paint guide. All the P-47 ends more or less were natural metal, natural aluminium. Here's the various markings. This is a very, very attractive P-47, but the black lines you'll have to mask and paint yourself, which does not appeal to me at all. I prefer decals, but that's me. The second one, very similar, slightly different nose art. And I see, yeah, okay. You get that version with the text for the left side of the fuselage and that one for the other side. That makes sense now. Little Meaty's meat chopper is the one I built in 1/48 scale. So I'm gonna leave that one, but this one I do like. It's called Bitter, which suits me fine. I'm bitter all the time, and it was flown from Saipan in Japan 1945, and yeah, the scheme just appeals to me a lot, so that's the one I'm gonna build, plus a National Guard one from Puerto Rico. So that roughly sums up the inbox review, and thank you for watching.